Every year, Safe Ground holds a policy symposium event. We theme that event, this year's was the third, and the theme of this year's event was It's a Man's World. The idea being that we were going to look at the impact of social and cultural norms around what it means to be a man and the impact that they have on the lives of everyone, with a particular reference to criminal justice. We structured the day around, first of all, a newly commissioned play by a theatre group that we've worked with over 3 years called Playing On, who made a particular piece of theatre for us called Inside Out, following the story of a young man who's been released from prison having done one of our core programmes, Fathers Inside, and is released on probation. Then we had our keynote speeches. That's a key component of most symposium events. This year, however, we held ours in a boxing ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Safe Ground and TKO Boxing proudly present the most anticipated event of the year.
The idea being that the boxing ring symbolised the way that cultural and social norms around masculinity very often put us as opponents in an argument. I mean that one person's going to win, another person's going to lose, there's a knockout. Whoever loses, their argument is annihilated, and whoever wins gets the moral and the intellectual high ground. Following the keynote speeches, we had a traditional panel forum made up by an academic, Andy Aresti, who works at Westminster University and also runs convict criminology, Michael Brown, who is a Family Man graduate and in his own right now is developing a series of youth intervention programmes and working as a youth worker with young people at risk of gang affiliation and activity.
My understanding is that men are not allowed to show any expression of fear.
Carleen Firmin, who at the time was Children's Commissioner Policy Advisor and has a long history of highly rated work around girls and gang affiliation, sexual exploitation and the impact of that on girls and young women. And Gerard Lemos, who is a well-known academic and the director of Lemos and Crane Research. All of those pieces of the event were linked to quite a big component of audience participation. So at every stage of the day there was a big section of question and answers, interaction with the audience, and the expectation that this was a conversation about some really difficult stuff. So by the end of the day, people had seen a new play, heard some really interesting arguments put forward by Brid Featherstone, Professor of Social Work, and Ali Fogg, independent journalist, each of whom were taking different stances on a range of questions that we posed to them about the impact of masculinity.
You need to get past that mask. That mask and say, I've got to be hard, I've got to be tough, not got to show any emotions. And the more threatened somebody is, the thicker that mask is. And I feel the only way you can break that down is to make a personal relationship.
For Safe Ground, it was a hugely satisfying event because for the first time we'd chaired a conversation about an issue that we'd never made explicit before. Some of the feedback that we got was really useful in terms of practical application that people were going to then take back to their workplace and make happen, like assessing the gender impacts of some of their programmes.
I think what I just increasingly admire about Safe Ground is that you're actually explicitly working in that and looking at that and exploring those issues, and that's what I think today did. It brought out some things that I think the rest of us in the sector do, and we need to think more carefully about where does masculinity fit in terms of arts and arts work with offenders.
It was really exciting for us to pioneer masculinity and social and cultural norms as a big piece of the work that we have always done through Family Man and Fathers Inside, and that we continue to do with an increasing focus on men's experience and how the analysis of that in the light of masculinity, cultural and social norms can be useful to creating social justice on a wider scale.